Have you ever heard someone say, science and Christianity can't coexist? That if you believe in God, you can't believe in science? Well, what if the evidence says otherwise? Because over the years, scientists, historians, and archaeologists have uncovered discoveries that, whether they meant to or not, actually support the Bible. From cosmic origins to ancient ruins, from DNA to destroyed cities, we're counting down 10 scientific discoveries that support the truth of Christianity. And trust me, by the time we reach number 1, you'll see why even scientists are running out of natural explanations. This is Bible Verified, and here are 10 proofs that science is catching up with the Bible. Let's start with something we all learned in school, the Big Bang. For centuries, scientists believed the universe was eternal. It always existed, no beginning, no creator. But that changed in the early 1900s, when astronomers like Edwin Hubble noticed galaxies moving away from each other, meaning the universe was expanding. If it's expanding now, it must have started somewhere. A single moment, a beginning. That idea, now known as the Big Bang Theory, became one of the most widely accepted scientific models in history. And what's wild is, it echoes the very first verse of the Bible. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Long before telescopes, satellites, or physics equations, Genesis already said the universe had a start. Science just confirmed how it began. Even physicist Stephen Hawking once admitted, the universe had a beginning, and that implies something outside of space and time must have caused it. That's not a contradiction to Christianity. That's a confirmation of it.
Now here's something that's been debated for centuries, the Great Flood. Skeptics call it myth, but geologists around the world are starting to uncover evidence that something catastrophic really did happen thousands of years ago. Across continents, we find marine fossils on mountaintops, layers of sediment laid down rapidly, and mass extinction markers in the same geological timeline. Even Mount Everest contains fossilized seashells, proof that the land was once underwater. Scientists have also discovered that around 4,000 to 5,000 years ago, several regions show signs of a sudden, massive flood event, from the Mesopotamian floodplain to the Black Sea Basin. In nearly every ancient civilization, from the Sumerians to the Chinese, records a similar flood story. So, was it just coincidence? Or did the Bible preserve the true version of a global catastrophe that reshaped the earth? Genesis says the waters covered even the highest mountains, and the rocks beneath our feet might just be telling the same story.
For centuries, critics claimed the Bible invented many of its locations. They said Jericho never existed. Nazareth was a myth. Capernaum, just a story. But one by one, the ground began to speak. Excavations across the Middle East uncovered ruins, pottery, walls, inscriptions, real evidence of real cities, described exactly in Scripture. At Jericho, archaeologists found collapsed walls that dated precisely to the biblical timeline of Joshua's conquest. In Jerusalem, they found the Pool of Bethesda, a place John's Gospel describes, and it turned out to have 5 porticos, exactly as the Bible said. In Nazareth, the hometown of Jesus, they found homes, tombs, and ancient wells from the 1st century, proving it was no myth. It's as if every shovel full of dirt keeps whispering. The Bible got it right. At number 7, let's talk about Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor who sentenced Jesus to death. For a long time, people said Pilate was a literary invention, a name made up by early Christians to give their story realism. But in 1961, that changed forever. Archaeologists digging in Caesarea Maritima, Israel, found a limestone block with an inscription carved in Latin. Pontius Pilate, prefect of Judea. That one discovery silenced centuries of doubt. The man who washed his hands before condemning Christ wasn't fiction. He was real, recorded, and remembered in stone. The Bible didn't just tell stories. It told history. In 1947, a Bedouin shepherd tossed a stone into a cave near the Dead Sea and heard the sound of pottery breaking. What he discovered became one of the greatest archaeological finds in human history, the Dead Sea Scrolls. Inside those jars were ancient manuscripts, copies of the Hebrew Scriptures, dated over 2,000 years old. When scholars compared them to our modern Old Testament, the results were stunning. Almost no difference. Word for word, verse for verse, the message hadn't changed. Despite centuries of copying and translation, the Bible had been preserved with incredible accuracy. It's as if someone made sure it stayed that way. And that someone, Christians believe, is the author himself. In the 1800s, skeptics mocked the Bible for mentioning a people called the Hittites. There was no record of them anywhere. No monuments, no writings, no history. But then, in 1906, explorers in modern-day Turkey stumbled upon something massive, ruins of an ancient city called Hattusa, and inside, thousands of clay tablets written in the Hittite language. Suddenly, a lost empire rose from the dust, exactly where the Bible said it was. Once again, Scripture was ahead of science by millennia. The more we dig, the more we find that the Bible isn't outdated, it's accurate. In the Christmas story, Luke mentions a Roman census that forced Joseph and Mary to travel to Bethlehem, leading to Jesus' birth. For years, historians called that a mistake. They said no census took place at that time. But as more ancient records surfaced, something incredible was found. Documents showing that the Roman Empire conducted regular censuses, and one did indeed occur during the reign of Caesar Augustus. Even papyrus fragments from Egypt mention people returning to their ancestral homes for registration, just as Luke described. The Bible didn't just tell spiritual truth, it told administrative truth. Let's move to something darker, crucifixion. For centuries, no one had ever found physical evidence of someone crucified the Roman way. Skeptics said the Gospel's description, nails through hands and feet, was symbolic, not literal. Then in 1968, archaeologists in Jerusalem discovered a heel bone pierced by a rusty iron nail, belonging to a man named Jehohanan. It was the first direct proof of Roman crucifixion ever found, and it matched the Gospel accounts perfectly, even down to the bones being broken after death. Science literally unearthed a detail the Bible recorded 2,000 years ago. At number 2, a discovery that shocked even scientists. In the Jordan Valley, near the Dead Sea, archaeologists uncovered a city called Tal el-Hammam. What they found looked like the aftermath of a nuclear blast. The city's walls were melted, pottery had turned to glass, and chemical analysis showed the area was hit by an explosion hotter than 2,000 degrees Celsius, the kind of heat you'd get from something falling from the sky. Genesis describes how Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed by fire and brimstone from heaven. The researchers didn't set out to prove the Bible, but their own data matched the story almost perfectly. Even mainstream scientists admit, something extraordinary wiped that city out. And now number 1, the most mysterious proof of all. Deep inside every cell of your body lies DNA, the genetic code that builds and runs all living things. Scientists describe it as a 4-letter alphabet, billions of characters long, forming precise instructions to create you. It's not random. It's structured, readable, and digital, just like computer code. In fact, the famous atheist Richard Dawkins once called DNA a machine code far more advanced than any software ever created. And the code is YHWH, which directly represents the name of God in Hebrew Yahweh. So here's the question. If there's a code, who wrote it? Codes don't write themselves. Languages don't emerge without intelligence. When Genesis says, God formed man from the dust of the ground and breathed life into him, maybe that breath is the divine information encoded in every living cell. DNA is like God's signature written into creation, a biological fingerprint of the Creator himself. And the deeper scientists go, the more it points not to chaos, but to design. Even Francis Collins, head of the Human Genome Project, said, "The language of DNA is the language of God." After decades of research, that's what the science said. And that's at the end of this list. So do you still believe that Christianity is a made-up religion? Because it just keeps on proving that every time you get into science deep, it will get harder to say that Christianity is fake. Want to see more content like this? Like and subscribe to Bible Verified. See you all in next one.